Alright guys, so we're going to be continuing our fairy tale writing. If you remember, we decided that I was going to be doing a story on the boy who wants to become a prince. So I'm going to be building on that to further construct my story. So we're going to organize it using this writing as a planning guide. So I'm going to fill in details about my characters, the setting, and the problem for my fairy tale. I'm going to add details to provide a good beginning for my narrative or my story, and then I'm going to begin to add events. So let me fill this first part out. So if you remember, my character was Peter, the young boy. And let me make that a little bigger for us. I think we've been using font size 20. Yeah. Okay. And then what else did we have? Well, I want for some of my characters, I want there to be Peter's parents, because he's not going to be living on this place by himself. So let's put that in there as well. Peter's parents. Now, can I think of another one? You remember I said there's going to be a talking cow to help Peter become a prince. And it's kind of getting blurred into the other one, so I'm going to have to fix that later. And then remember I said there might be some servants in the castle after he becomes, and let me put that here, after he becomes a prince. So now let me just shrink these down a bit and see if we can get them to fit in nicely. There we go. So now my character descriptions, well, I'm only going to do it for Peter and his parents, because the other ones, either I'm not quite sure what they are, or they're not really that important to the story, like the servants. I'm not really quite sure yet how I'm going to describe that cow, so I'm just going to leave it blank. Because remember, this is just my introduction. So let's change that again to 18. And I'm going to say, Peter, he's honest and he's well behaved, like I'm sure many of you are. And his parents, since they're farmers, I'm just going to say they're hardworking, because that's what most of the farming parents are in fairy tales. And I'm also going to say they're honest. Now, what do we have for the setting? Remember, I said it's going to be on a farm in the country. And not only that, but I'm also going to put that he lives there with his parents, because that's setting up his relationship with his family as well. So now, what's the problem? The problem was Peter wanted to become a prince. So I'm going to put that in my problem section. Perhaps I'm going to. Done. There we go. Peter wants to become a prince. And so now, I'm going to put my beginning parts. So, first, I'm going to say the boy wants to ride by the farm. So Peter sees a prince riding by the farm. That's where he gets this idea. And he's going to become envious. He's going to become jealous because he's poor and not from a noble family. So I'm going to put that for my first part. So let's put that in there. And I'm going to label it just like we did in Snow White. I'm going to put it as number 1. So I know what my important events are. And now, what might happen next? Well, he's jealous. And so this sets up that major problem for my character of wanting to become a prince. So my next event follows from this, and it's going to build on it. So I have the event in the barn where the cow tells him he can drink the milk to become a prince. So these events are going to be the first part of my story. So I'm going to put the cow begins to talk to Peter at milking time. The cow says if he drinks his milk, he will turn into a prince. So let me put that down. So that's kind of the beginning. That's how my problem gets started, and it's laying out the rest of the structure. So now let's head to the middle of my story. So what happens in the middle? Well, Peter, of course, he's going to drink that milk because he wants to become a prince. And now I'm going to think, what happens after he drinks this milk? Well, something good's got to happen because it's my story. So after he drinks it, he wants to become a prince. He's going to leave this barn and he's going to do something. What should I have him do? Well, I'm going to have him as leaving the barn to find his parents' home is now a castle. So he leaves milking the cow and bam, he sees a castle instead of his regular house. And he enters the castle, but his parents are gone, and those servants are there instead. And so now what happens? He leaves the barn to find his parents' home is now a castle. He enters the castle, his parents are gone, and the servants are there instead. What's he going to do? Well, it told me at the beginning that I wanted him to be well-behaved and honest. And so that kind of probably means that he's going to miss his honest parents. So I'm going to put that part in for number 3. He's kind of lonely because he doesn't have his family around and he misses them. So there's my 3 items. And I'll make them, I guess, a little bit bigger for us. So let me change it. Font size 16. There we go. And let's change this one to font size 16 also. Slide that up. Okay, so now we're on the ending. He's lonely. He doesn't have what he wants. So what's going to happen? Well, let's start with this. He goes back to the barn where that mystery cow was, that magical cow. And he's going to do what? Well, he's probably going to tell the cow how he's feeling. So that's going to be my next part. He goes to the barn and tells the cow that he misses his parents. And the cow, since he's magical, he's going to say, I can return you to your normal life. Because that's kind of what happens in fairy tales. People are trying to learn a lesson. And a lot of that times that lesson is what they had wasn't that bad before. So he probably is going to accept this offer in my story. Remember, I can change it as I'm actually doing the writing. This is just kind of my draft right now. And he returns outside, and guess what? He finds that the castle has turned back into his farmhouse. And when he sees that, he's probably also going to think, well, maybe my parents might be back too, since I'm at my farmhouse now. So that's probably going to be how I'm going to end it, is that he sees his parents inside. So inside, Peter finds his parents, and he's happy, and he realizes life with his family is really all that matters. He doesn't really need to be that prince that he wanted to be when the prince drove by. So this is my graphic organizer that I have. So let's zoom out so we can see it all together. And let me just change that to our bigger font. So that's how I fill out this graphic organizer. So I probably want to use what I filled out yesterday. And now I'm just going to expand on that, and I'm really going to work on the problem and the details of this story. What's going to happen as we go along in our story? What's going to happen first, second, third? Now remember, this is just an outline. So I'm still going to be adding to this. I'm not going to say my story's done. I don't have any dialogue in this. I don't really describe what the cow looks like. So there's a lot more I'm going to be putting in as I write my story. But today, you guys are going to be filling out this graphic organizer. Good luck. Remember, if you have any questions, let me know.